As many countries just have gone through a summer with episodic brutal heat wave, how do we ease our body into autumn and eventually to winter so that our health will be more ready and resilient for the winter time? Therefore, autumn or fall, it's a very important transition period for us to look after ourselves. What do we eat and what do we do during this time not only will impact our health during autumn, it will also affect our health during winter time. Let's have a look at what traditional Chinese medicine teaches us. Hi everyone, my name is Shirley. I'm a Chinese medicine practitioner and also a Western medicine pharmacist in Australia. In this channel, I share tips on how to use traditional Chinese medicine principles in our modern everyday life. In today's video, I'm going to share tips on how to look after ourselves during autumn time. I also recommend some food types or Chinese herbal tea or soup that you could use during this time to support your health and also build a better foundation for winter time. Traditional Chinese medicine really emphasizes on living in rhythm with the universe. For example, the changes of the season. This is one of the ways to build a solid foundation for our holistic health. Imagine if a flower bloom at the wrong time, such as winter, the lifespan of the flower is going to be very short. Or we go to harvest the crops at the wrong timing. It is the same for us, our health. While there are many advancements of technology that can protect us from harsh weather, it is also crucial not to go against the season unnecessarily. Learning to go with the rhythm and understanding the natural cycle of ebb and flow will help us go through the changes with ease. That includes our mental health too. It is only natural that our emotions also go through changes with the season. If we are more aware of the possible surfacing of a certain emotion during a particular season, we will be more mentally prepared for it. It is not about suppressing them, it is about able to recognize them and find ways to process them or let them go. Without further ado, let's dive in. And actually, when I look at the pictures like this, it reminds me of my time in Toronto, Canada. I lived there before for a few years, and yeah, fall, it's really this beautiful. I really missed my time there. Funny enough, that was the time that I have to learn how to say fall instead of autumn. I had to keep reminding myself that I should call autumn fall. Anyway, so since I'm living in Australia now, and we do call the autumn, so throughout this presentation, just to make my life a little easier, I will just refer it as autumn, okay? So how to nurture our health during autumn? Okay, I want you to have a look at this slide. So now we are in autumn, which is on your right hand side. So let me read in Chinese first and then English. 秋冬养阴，即养收养藏. During autumn and winter, nourish our yin, focus on going inward, resting, storing, and restoring our energy. So if you look at the left-hand side, which are referring to the spring and summer, that is the time that we're supposed to nourish our yang and focus on going outward and flourishing and using our energy to grow. So as you can see, there is a jump. And because there is this jump from going outward to going inward, not only to our body and our mind and our emotion also have that change. And we need to be more aware of our mental health. For some people, it might be harder. So that's why I do have a few separate slides just to talk about that issue. Now we want to have a look at a very old text from Yellow Empress in the classic, 黄帝内经. This is an ancient Chinese medical text or a group of texts that actually has been treated as the fundamental doctrinal source for traditional Chinese medicine. These texts actually have more than 2,000 years of history. You might wonder whether it's still applicable for today's day, but a lot of them are actually common sense and they are also observations of human health. Let's have a read together. In the 3 months of autumn, it is the season referred to as receiving and balance. The qi of the heaven thereby is harsh and the qi of the earth thereby is clear. Go to bed early and rise early. Stirring with the chickens basically means that you kind of wake up together with the chickens. I mean, this is the ancient time where that's how people live. Okay, let your will be calm and tranquil in order to relax the punishment of autumn. Not necessarily punishment, but basically it's, as I mentioned before, it's the transition. There is quite a change in terms of the weather. So gather in and restrain your spirit and your qi to make the qi of autumn balance. Do not allow your will to stray outside and thereby make your lung qi clear. This is responding to the qi of autumn and the way of nurturing harvest. If you go against it, you will injure the Chinese medicine lung. As a result, you will suffer from diarrhea with watery stools containing undigested food in winter. This is called the inadequate offering to storing. Remember in the previous slide, I talked about the autumn and the winter time is the time to store and restore. And so if you don't follow suggestions or the recommendations here, you are not preserving or storing, like it say in the last line. It's called the inadequate offering to storing. You may, I mean not that you will really will, but you may suffer from diarrhea with watery stool. So one thing I want to point, you might wonder, what does it got to do with the lung and the autumn? I'm going to bring you to the next slide. So this is a 5-element chart. I want to bring your attention to the metal element. When you go down to the chart, you will see lung. When you go further down, you will see the autumn. So autumn is related to the lung. The emotion that is related to this season is actually sorrow or grief. Let's look at the next slide. So this is when I will talk more briefly about self-care and our mental health. So as you learned in the previous slide, it say go to bed early and get up early. So the reason being, actually in autumn, naturally all things are maturing and the crops are ready to be harvested, and the wind may blow more vigorously than other seasons, and the environment on the earth is clear and bright. And this is what the previous slide explaining in the first paragraph. The qi of heaven thereby is harsh and the qi of the earth thereby is clear. That's why during this period, one should go to bed early. Basically, is to stay away from the chillness that kind of start arising during this autumn time. And ideally, if we can get up early, is to appreciate the crisp air of autumn. Okay, so as you can see on the slide, the second point, this is also a time to pull inward and gather together on all levels. It is a time to get ready for the approaching stillness of winter. So during this transition period, it's important or worth putting a little bit more extra effort and thoughts on how to get ready and plan for the arrival of winter. For example, you can store up some food or the Chinese herb that I'm going to talk about a bit later, and take out all your warm clothing and blankets, clean them up, get them ready for the winter, or have all the books that you always want to read and get them ready for the winter. Autumn is a time to learn to keep our spirit tranquil and stable. This is because autumn is a time that the nature is getting ready for the winter. So flowers are dying, or probably they're already long gone. Leaves are falling, the day is like it's getting shorter, it is getting colder. And although autumn is so beautiful with the changing color of the leaves, yet it's remind us of the passing of time, and be aware that some of the unresolved grief or sorrow from the past might bubbling up or resurface. As we see in the 5-element chart, autumn do relate to sorrow or grief. This is because we too, as human beings, we are like the nature. It's like we need to farewell to the bright summer day. We need to get ready for the long dark nights of winter, and that's why all this emotion will pop up. And this is why the黄帝内经, the old classic Chinese medicine book, encourages us to gather in and to restrain our spirit and our energy internally and guard our minds against anxiety or sadness. It is not about suppressing them, it's to be more mentally aware and prepared for them and able to recognize them and then find way to process them or learn how to let them go. So if we could do that and we have a more tranquil mind during this time of the year, it's also one way to support the health of our Chinese medicine, not the Western medicine, okay? Autumn is also a time to drive through the mountain, go to the hilltop, breathe in the fresh, crisp air, and have a different perspective of life. It's one way to kind of lift our spirit and let go of all the things and look at the whole picture. Okay, now let's have a look at the food and herbs according to the traditional Chinese medicine theory. Number 1 is to eat more sour food and less pungent food. I'll explain every single one of them in other slide, but we'll have a quick look at here first. 2 is food that moistens or nourishes the yin. 3 is the white color food that also have the above flavor or function. 4 is cooked at the lower heat and for a longer period of time. 5, I will give you some suggestion on Chinese herbal tea or soup for autumn. Okay, let's look at the first one. Autumn season is when we need to begin the process of contractions, which means like going inward. And according to Chinese medicine, sour flavor actually contract and pungent flavor expand. It's kind of the sensation that you give it to you. When it's sour, it's kind of feel your body contract. And then, but when you take pungent or spicy flavor food, it does kind of lift and expands out. And this is why during autumn season, it's great that we eat more sour food because it's in line with the theory of contracting season, okay? So example of sour food have sourdough bread, sauerkraut, olive, pickle, yogurt, vinegar, lemon, lime, and grapefruit. And the example of pungent food is the ginger, the spices, the garlic, the onion, the chili, the horseradish. But one extra note is, because we say during this time we have all those sorrow and grief emotion coming up, you probably feel more like trapped in there. So in that scenario, you can take a little bit of pungent food to help you have that a little release. Because when you eat those pungent food, sometimes you sweat a little. It's kind of like letting it go and kind of give you that little release. But don't overeat it. It's only when you feel that you need that a little bit of release, then you can add a small amount of pungent food. When I say less pungent, doesn't mean that you absolutely have to avoid it. You can use it wisely, but compared to the sour food, you just have a less amount of that and more of the sour food. Okay, next is we will eat food that able to moisten or nourish our yin. So autumn season can be quite a dry season, and that's why we might have more symptoms such as thirst, dry skin, dry nose, lips, and throat. And those dryness will sometimes bring about more itchiness. So that's why if we could eat food that is more moistening or can nourish our yin, so we have the yin and yang. Yin is more to do with like body fluid. So example of food and herbs that can moisten or nourish our yin are like sesame, almond, honey, seafood such as oysters or clams, soy products, eggs, fruits such as apple and mulberry, milk and dairy products, and yin tonic herbs such as the goji berry or Solomon seal. The next suggestion is to eat more white color food. Remember on the 5 element chart, I did bring your attention to the metal element, and the color of this element is also white. And that's why it's good for the autumn season. It's also good for our Chinese medicine lung. If you can find white color food that also has the moistening function, will enhance this particular function. So example are like the Asian pear. It's white color and it's also very moistening. And the white fungus, you have learned from my previous video, the white fungus can nourish our yin, and it also white color. Chinese yam is white color. It's a qi tonic and will also help to boost Chinese medicine lung qi. And lily bark is the same. It's also a white color. Food is also nourish our yin. All these 4 ingredients that I have mentioned, they all could help to relieve thirst, moisten Chinese medicine lung, and can also relieve dry cough, which can be quite often experienced during this autumn season. Next, we need to look into our cooking method. So summer is when you do quick stir fry, but during the autumn is the time that we cook at a lower heat and for a longer period of time. This cooking method is evolved to reflect the season. Because when you do that, you're kind of putting and supply more energy to your food, and that's the greater energy is also what we need during a colder or cooler season. The type of food that are great for the above cooking method, but not too heavy, because during this time you do not want to have heavy food like those stew that we normally will eat during winter, which is more suitable for winter. I would recommend the rice congee or the lighter soup such as the Chinese soup or Chinese herbal soup, because they require a lower heat and to cook for a longer period of time, but they're not too heavy. They lighter, so it's best for autumn season like this. I recommend the Chinese soup or the Chinese herbal soup because the Asian soup, we don't put cream or dairy product in there, so it's not that heavy. And rice congee is great during this season too because it gives you the warmth that you need and it's not heavy, and it's actually very good for digestion as well. So now let's look at some of the Chinese herbal tea or soup. Goji berry is neutral, it nourishes our yin, it can help with eye health, can help to relieve the dryness and the thirst. The mulberry also can help to nourish our yin, so it's great for relieving thirst again, and it can also generate fluid and help to relieve constipation. If you feel a bit depressed or you feel things are a bit trapped or you feel the sorrow and the grief, you can add some rosebud to your goji berry or the mulberry tea, because rosebud in Chinese medicine has that gentle moving your qi or unblocking function. So this combination will be a good one during autumn time if you feel a bit depressed. The next is the Asian pear and goji berry. They are sweet soup, very tasty, and they can help to relieve the mild dry cough or the dry throat. Next, let's look at some other soup. So the first one is lilybug, lotus seed and snow fungus sweet soup, which you see in the picture and also have teach you in one of my videos. So make sure to go to check them out. All the links will be in the description box. So this one is a combination of lilybugs, which I mentioned is a white color. You have the snow fungus, which is white color. They both nourish our yin, and lotus seed can help us to sleep a bit better, will support our digestion. So it's great during this autumn period. And especially if you have a bit of trouble falling asleep and your skin are very dry, this is a great soup. The second one is the Solomon seal, Glehnia root, and the snow fungus again. This is a savory soup, which I would also already taught. I already explained in that video. It's great for autumn time to relieve dry throat, dry mouth, dry skins, and all the dryness symptoms. The last one I haven't taught before. This combination is for a rice congee. I mean, you could just do a simple rice congee, but if you want to add some Chinese herbs to enhance the health benefits, you can put some lilybug. Lilybug is a yin tonic, will help you to sleep better. You have the Chinese yam, which is a qi tonic to help to boost your immunity and boost your energy level. And the goji berry, once again, is a yin tonic. So if you put these three ingredients into your rice congee, so you get a wonderful, a little bit sweet and savory rice congee. The other thing I would like to quickly mention is my online course also teach you how to modify this recipe or the soup to suit your individual needs. So if you are interested, don't forget to register your interest through the waitlist. You can see the link here. Go there to sign up. You'll be first notified via email when I launch my course, which I'm going to teach soon in October. Okay, let's do a summary now. Is your autumn health tips. First, this is the time to pull inward and gather together, a time to get ready for the approaching stillness of winter. Second, be aware of more pensive mood. Learn to process them and let them go. Third, go to bed early and rise early. Fourth, eat more sour food and less pungent food. Fifth, eat food that moistens or nourish our yin. Sixth, eat more white color food that also have the above function. Last but not least, evolve your cooking method to cook at a lower heat and for a longer period of time, because we need that warmth and the energy that you put into your food and to supply to us through food. So that's all for these autumn wellness presentations. If you love the slide, please head to my website to grab a copy. When you go to my website, just scroll down a little bit further and you will see all the slides for all 4 seasons there. And these are the references that I use. That's all from me today. Don't forget to save this video for the winter wellness. Set a reminder to watch them before you go into the winter. Although the video has been made for more than a year ago, all the advice and tips there are still applicable for many winters to come. I hope you find this video helpful and valuable to you, and please don't forget to share it with your friends or family who you think they will be interested in learning how to live in rhythm with the nature. Last but not least, watch this video. I share a recipe that is great for autumn time to relieve the dryness during autumn. Okay, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!